Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody out there in the audience tonight. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. And tonight we are going to head into the weekend with an overseas reach into the crowdfunding world once more. Tonight we are looking at an Indiegogo called Only Death Can Save Us. And the only one who can save us from not knowing what that means is the creator, Russ Leach. Russ, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So, as I understand it, this is your very first crowdfunder.
That's right. It's the first crowdfunder I'm doing on my own. I've been involved in a couple of projects, but not at the sharp end. So yeah, this is the first time I'm totally in charge, and it's just me.
So, when you set out to do a crowdfunder, obviously there's different platforms you can use. There's Kickstarter and Indiegogo are kind of the top tier. I'm sure there are others competing now to get into that business. Was there anything about any of them that influenced your choice as to which to pick?
Yeah, I felt that being able to take the money straight away rather than later on gave Indiegogo an edge. Also, the in-demand option. And after playing around with both interfaces, I just found Indiegogo easier to use. I do have a background in UI design and programming, so I may have been a little biased in the way that it worked. It just suited me better from a business perspective and from a usability perspective.
Speaking as a backer, I prefer it when they take the money right away as well, as opposed to finding out 30 days later that I forgot to pledge money to something and the money comes out.
Yeah. I back a lot of books myself, and I do prefer that. Like yourself, it's much easier to budget for the next set of books.
Exactly. Now, this isn't your first comic book, though. Can you give us a brief history of what your other publication experience is?
Yeah. I've been drawing comics full time since 2010. I had a previous incarnation in publishing and production. But I came to comics full time in 2010 and started my 10,000 hours there and then, and picked up some indie books in the US, mostly with Unstoppable Comics. JD Rosario from New York runs that. So he gave me an opportunity there, some other bits and pieces, and eventually I made my way to Marcosia, which is a UK publisher, and did a couple of graphic novels for them. And then in 2015, found myself working on Doctor Who for 2.5 years for a UK production by Panini UK, which was Doctor Who Adventures, and that was for between the age ranges between 5 and 15. Then I was also invited to work on a book for Marvel and Shet, another European publisher, and that was kind of like an homage to the old How to Draw the Marvel Way book,
Right.
but it was done every 2 weeks over a 100 issues, and I got in there on issue 8 and carried on doing 2 spreads every 2 weeks for those guys, and also did a year's work for Cartoon Network on their Ben 10 magazine as well. Once that started to that dried up effectively. I'd stopped doing pages and started doing storyboarding and other commercial illustration, and that's when I decided to, really get involved. I'd seen what was happening with the industry; things were changing. You didn't have to go and get a book published by a publisher. You could go directly to your potential audience via crowdfunding. So I decided to do it.
It's a Renaissance era. I mean, I think when I hear people saying that the comics industry is dying, a lot of people hear that and they think no more comics. What I'm hearing is that the old paradigm of delivering and creating comics is dying. Much the way, they say newspapers are dying.
Yeah.
Newspapers are dead. You can still get them though. So
yeah, I think the industry has been changing, but for me personally, the nail was put in the coffin quite a long time ago when they took took newsprint off newsstands because it became so much less accessible to the next generation of readers. I love a comic book shop. I'm a nerd. I love going in those things and picking up, leafing through comics. But that's not necessarily the best way to get to your next generation of readers. So when they took them off the newsstands, for whatever reason they did, I'm sure there were some good reasons. That was effectively when the rot started, as far as the current paradigm is concerned. And I think we're just seeing now it's been delayed because of the way the direct market has worked over that period. But I think we're now seeing new ways to get your comic books, new ways to get product. And we're really discovering all the tools that are available to us on the internet now.
Yeah, over here in the US, when the direct market came up, you could still get the books on the newsstand. In fact, it was sort of a game that I would play with the new comics I would get from different locations. If the little white square had a barcode, I'm like, this was a newsstand book. And if it had the logo of something else, and I was like, oh, this came from the direct market. What killed the newsstand circulation over here was when they decided to start producing things that didn't require the Comics Code Authority. And then all of a sudden your Walmarts and your 7-Elevens were like, no, we don't want angry mothers coming into our store because they saw something that they didn't like. Go into a specialty shop for that if you want it. So the newsstands took themselves out of the business, and there was no more need to distribute to them. Yeah,
it was a bit sharper than that over here, but I can see why that would have happened. But it did mean that the comics weren't there on eye level for kids. So many people of my age, and even younger than me, say that's where they found their first book, a 7-Eleven or whatever it is. Would have been for you guys. Over here it was newsagents and smaller shops, and that's certainly where we got our fix of comics prior to comic shops being the only place you could go and get comics from.
Right. Testify HD is begging to get back on your 24-hour stream.
I'm not in charge of that. I'll speak to Rot for him. I'll put in a good word.
So I've got your Indiegogo up here, and there's a video with that. So every time there is that, we have to play the video. So I'm going to give that a shot here, and then we'll talk about what's in the comic and what we can expect out of it. So let me just take a brief moment to get this as big as possible.
$20 billion years ago, as the second age gave away to the third, one last great war raged between Satana's forces of cruel chaos, who had ruled for a sliver of eternity, and the forces of order, who sought to remake things anew. The Supreme called her warlords the Pillars of Creation. Their purpose was not to bring apocalypse, but to welcome forth the new age. Over time, their true purpose would be forgotten, for such is the fate of legends, and only their names would be remembered. War, famine, pestilence, and death.
Damn, I love demons. Wretched things. You preach to the converted, brother. Their vile number seems limitless. 6,666 by my count.
They have numbers, aye, but their arrogance will yet be their undoing. Mark my words, brothers.
You speak true, Sister Pestilence. Even now, my mistress builds a prison to house them. The prison of love. She asks only that we lead them there. This is the word.
Then let us draw succor from it.
And thus it came to pass that the third age began with the vanquishing of evil and the renewal of life. But evil is patient. It clings to the dark places and waits for its moment to strike.
We shall know glory this day, my brothers.
What was won that day was a battle, not the war. That would come later.
Action and adventure, the way comics used to be. Be at Death's side. Sign up exclusively at Indiegogo, for only death can save us.
We shall know glory this day, my brothers.
Comics the way they used to be. I like hearing that. And I will say that the look of this, the look of the artwork, everybody's doing a 90s kind of thing. This to me is more late 80s in style, which was my heyday of comic books and reading comics.
It's inspired by the books that I read as a kid, as a young man. I love the 90s. I loved all the X-Men books at the time. I bought them all. Jim Lee, Silvestri, all those guys. But what really got me going as a lad was John Buscema, Joe Sinnott. The Kirby. Although I'd never appreciated Kirby's art till later on, I had my Kirby moment where I realized he was a genius. But I still loved the stories when I was younger. Stuff like the Eternals and what have you that I got reprints of. So this was all reprinted stuff in Captain Britain from Marvel UK. I went on to get Spider-Man, that kind of stuff. And there was Steranko reprints of Agents of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that was what really hit me. That was the stuff that shaped my my artistic tendencies as far as comic strip are concerned. So I've had sort of multiple styles, as most artists do, but I've settled on this, and it's definitely something. I think there's not many of us doing it. There are a few people doing this kind of stuff, but not many. So I think what I'm trying to do is, instead of having to go and buy all those reprints, let's do something new in that style,
Absolutely. Now, what I've taken from watching the video is that your title, Only Death Can Save Us, you're referring to the actual anthropomorphic personification of death. So people are looking for an embodiment.
Yes. Yeah. Death is one of the four horsemen. I've tried to get together a deep mythology behind it. It layers into all kinds of quantum physics and all that kind of cosmic stuff. But the idea is that the story manifests in the way the art and the story is told in a very kind of cosmic cube, Stalin fun kind of way, in the way that comics used to be. So there's depth in there if you want to find it. But if you just want a romp, if you just want something that's fun, that's there as well.
The Stalin influence is exactly what I was thinking when I was looking at the art and the fighting that's going on here. This is definitely a book targeted to that fan base, which is large. So the story is going to be set modern day, I take it.
Yeah, the story ends up where you connect with the other protagonist. So D connects with a human soul, and they end up being the two leads that go into the second and third and fourth book. I have an arc for 4 books, but each one is episodic, so you can pick the book up and just have fun with it on its own if that's what you want to do. So there's that connection between him and Chrissy. Chrissy nicknames him D, So there's that interaction, and you see him soften and her change as well in a kind of a cosmic way.
So this is an 80-page graphic novel, which is,
Yeah.
fairly sizable. $26 in the U.S. I tell you, the thing that hurts on our side, which, it's about time that we felt some of the pain. You've seen crowdfunders that are coming from the U.S. and, oh my
Yeah.
God, they cost a fortune to get shipped over there. Now we're on that receiving end of that, because we had BAP2 in the chat here says, I want to back this, but the shipping doubles it.
Yeah, I understand. It's I think the shipping worldwide is $15. So I know that's a little expensive. What I'm trying to do with this one is learn.
Worse.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I will be trying to reduce the price as I go into the second book. There's no doubt about that. But it's a learning process. I hit the button on £20, and at the time the exchange rate was $25. But then it's gone up. So next time round, I'll reduce it by 10% or so, and maybe 5-10%, and try and make sure that I get under that $25 sum, just to make it that more attractive. And also, I've learned along the next campaign for the next book, I'd like to do it so that the first 50, the first 100 backers actually get something, so they don't have to wait for the stretch goal, so that I can entice people in and give them more in their packages.
Absolutely. Those early bird specials are something that didn't get very popular. Plus, it gives a real, not to steal the trademark, but it gives you a real kickstart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if anybody is out there working on a way around this international shipping boondoggle that's hitting everybody.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody could come up with like a distribution network.
Yeah, I've got some contacts in the States that that I'm going to talk to about next time, about maybe shipping out as a package, the whole lot, and then them shipping it on within the US. But that I've really got to nail those prices down as to whether it's even worth doing. So it is tricky, but like I say, I'll try and shave that down even further next time.
Well, the good news for everybody is that this has already passed its funding goal, so it is going to be made. Your estimated shipping's in January 2021, which begs the question: how far is the book along in its actual production?
All the pencils are done. I've got 9 pages of inks left to do. There's, I think I'm on 15% of the colors. All the lettering is done. As soon as I've finished the inks, it goes out to the editor again. Everything else is sorted. So yeah, I'm pretty much there. I've had some wiggle room, which I've had to use because marketing and coming on streams like this just takes such an immense amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm wearing a lot of the hats on this work. But yeah, I'll be shipping in January. Yeah.
All right. BAP2 in the chat is asking: are there any tiers in the Indiegogo that come with autographing the book? Are any of the books signed?
Like if I'm just on, I'm on 150. If I were to do, if I were to get another 50, that would be fantastic. But either way, that's only 200 books. I'll probably sign them all.
Okay.
To be honest, I wouldn't charge to sign a book.
All right. So there's your answer, BAP. The book will be signed, unless, of course, we sell 1,000 of them tonight. In which case,
yeah. Hell, if I sell 1,000 and BAP buys one, just email me and I will make sure I sign their book.
I tell you what, if you sold 1,000 of them, you'd probably sign them all anyway. Just
yeah. It's not that many books.
No, it's not. I've written for other people as well, and the publishers do limited hardcover editions. In fact, I've got one of them here, and it was I had to sign 250 of these, I think.
Yeah.
No, just 200 of them. So. You just don't do it all at one time. That's the trick.
No, that's right. No, don't do it all at the same time. I turned up on my first ever book actually, and we had it was a whole bunch of creators working on it, and we had to sign them all before we sold them, and there was like 250 books there that day. So yeah.
Yeah, your
You
first
just-
signatures look real nice and artistic.
Yeah.
And just there's a blue line and a red line, and somebody signed it. So there's three names at the bottom of here. Let's
Yep.
get into the division of labor. Who's doing what?
Right. I wrote the story. I'm doing the pencils, the inks, the colors, and the lettering.
So these other guys are just taking it to the printer then.
No. Rick Hoskin is a friend of mine, and we've worked together on multiple books. And he will be helping out more with the writing in the second book. But for this book, he's all about the dialogue. So as an experienced writer, I wanted him to go back through my work, pick out the bits that maybe didn't work, give me some ideas, but also fine tune the dialogue so it worked really well and it was fluid. And then Tim Quinn is the editor of the whole thing.
All right, we just had our shake and bake moment here. BAP2 has just backed it. Says too cool not to on contribution ID 185.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
So this is when I reach way back into the archives of United States advertising and go with
It's shaking bake. It's shaking bake. I help.
I have 3 video clips, and that's the only one I find opportunity to use.
Cool. Thank you.
So we're up by 1. Thank you, BAP2. Always appreciate you coming into the chat and making our guests feel welcomed and like we're doing something for them. I do nothing. BAP does it all. He can take the chat over and back you all. So let's take a look at the tiers here. I'll look at the featured tier first. This is the $52, 40 pounds. For this, you get the 80-page graphic novel, a 4 Horsemen A3 poster. Now, over here, we don't know these A3s and A4s.
No, I'm going to have to. That's another thing I've learned as well. I knew that, but I thought that maybe I knew there were variations in sizes from the US to the UK. But I thought maybe they were known, but they're not. So that next time I'll make sure and put in explicit measurements. A3 is like a magazine double-page spread.
Okay, we see them. I mean, if we're printing something to a printer and we want to change between 8.5 and 11 to legal size, it's one of those many options that we skip over and never see because we never buy the paper that fits.
Right. Fair enough.
Now we know what they are.
Yeah. So A4 is a standard letter page over here. Is like a magazine, or it's just a little bit bigger than your standard US comic book size.
Okay, but it's basically 5 prints here. One A3 is smaller than A4.
Yeah, I know A3 is a big print. It's like a double page magazine spread size.
Okay, so they get smaller as the A's go.
Yeah. So A2 is twice the size of that, and A1 twice the size of that. So yeah.
All right. So you get 1 big poster and 4 prints and the book.
That's right. And the book. Yeah.
All right. That's 40 pounds, $52 at the moment. And then we got the single graphic novel, which we pointed out is signed. It's 80-page graphic novel. This is paperback.
It is paperback, but it's perfect bound, so it's got a thick spine to it.
Got it. Square edged.
Yeah.
Good to know. Then the next tier down is the 25-pound, $33. And this one is this is, got to see what this is.
Yeah, it's a back of credit. Back of credit. So in this, you get your name in the annals of time. It's death's list, effectively. So I'll do something special with that.
Gotcha. So this is your producer credit in the book. So if it were a movie. Next tier down is, and I just love watching this art scroll by here. And the coloring as well. I mean, it's not just the pencils and inks. The coloring, so much of the time now, things get overcolored. Photoshop's been the death of comics industry.
Yes.
Everything's a lens flare, and oh look, we got a 256 shading gradient going across here to show where the light is. Like, I like 4 colors.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. I love all kinds of comics, and I do get, it's when things are shiny, my attention is taken. There's no doubt about that. But I wanted to do something that was a bit retro, that that had that kind of cell shading Saturday morning cartoon, but also the way comics used to be colored as well, that kind of bright, bold coloring. So that's what I went for. Yeah.
So this guest artist 2 A4 print set, number 2, 30 pounds, $39. This is, you get one copy of the book, a black and white A4, which is the magazine size page, again, for people who are getting in here. And another black and white. So we get one from Mike Emmerich and one from Amrit Birdie.
Yeah. So I've got 2 of those. This one is with Mike and Amrit, and the next one is with Rob Willis and Renzo Rodriguez, which is the same deal. It's just 2 different posters. The idea being is that all these are also in the book and are coloured. Okay, but I wanted to provide them as black and white A4 prints because I thought the inking was so beautiful. Right. So I just wanted to provide them as a quality print.
Now, you explained the size of A4 and A3. Is this on like stiff paper, or is this going to be rolled into a poster tube?
No, these won't be rolled into a poster tube. These will come with the book. So the book comes in an A4 size package. Okay. So it's got like a backing board. It'll have plastic over it, a plastic bag, a holding bag, and then it'll also have the bubble wrap around it as well, so that it's well protected. And then you'll be able to put both those prints in there and the book and the stretch goals as well. If you get the featured tier, then actually there's a little bit more postage on top. And what I do is I actually send the A3 in a tube so that it doesn't get folded. So if you wanted to do something with it at the other end, you could.
Okay. Next tier down here is $46, 35 pounds. I better open it so I can see what it is. This is 2 copies of the book. Yeah. Both of them signed. So, you got your Christmas present ready for somebody who's not into crowdfunded books. Get them into crowdfunded books this way.
So you get to save on both the price of the book and the postage on that one.
Absolutely, because it's cheaper to ship 2 together than 2 apart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should get my other authors to work a deal like that. We're shipping together. I've got 3 books over here. We just finished publishing. Just finished. It feels like forever ago, and yet it was only a couple months. We just finished publishing an anthology, The Devil You Know, 20 stories, and I've still got 3 author copies to send out, and they're 2 in the UK and 1 in Australia, and it's like $26 each to ship.
So, that is serious.
Yeah, 3 books and spending $75 to get out. Wow.
Yeah.
That's more than I paid for the story itself. But a promise is a promise. They will get their books. $78 US, 60 Great British pounds. GBP. Is it Great British pounds or Great Britain pounds?
I don't know. Actually, GBP. That's just the standard format. I suppose it's Great British pounds. Yes.
Okay.
Sterling.
Yeah, pound sterling. Yeah, and I love the exchange rate. By the way, my first book, that hardcover I showed you, was with a British publisher, and they're like, "Well, we pay in pounds." I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. The exchange rate works for me."
Yeah.
I'll be very happy. Here you get 1 copy of the book, 1 pencil and ink sketch by you.
Yep.
Of one of the characters in the book. Now, is that like a tell me what character you want, or is it I've sketched some characters and you'll get a random one?
Yeah, but once I finish the campaign, if you want to get in touch with me, let me know, and I'll do you anything you like on A4. But if you don't tell me, then I'll just do a random character from the book.
All right. You want to get in touch with him. You want to get like Death. You don't want to get this guy.
If you have a specific request, then just let me know. Yeah.
Right. And then of course now we're getting into the true collector areas, and 1 out of 10's already been claimed on these. There's only 10. This is where you get the original artwork, 1 page, along with a copy of the book. And this is on the Bristol paper.
Yeah.
Now I've got to ask: do comic artists in the UK, do they kind of like giggle amongst themselves when it's like we got Bristol board? Because
it's like
a little bit of lingo.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of a snigger there. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's just I don't really think about it.
if it was in the United States and comic artists were saying, okay, I need 80 more pages of titty board.
So those art pages, I have 11 of them. One is in the collector's bundle. The other 10 are available just to get on that tier. I work digitally most of the time. So what this is mixed media. So what I do is I print the pencils out onto Bristol board and go over it with my own inks. So it is the original piece of artwork. It's unique. It's the only piece, and it is what's used in the book. But what I try to do is I try to use all the relevant mediums that I have available. Like I say, most of the time I use digital, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to have a tier like this where people could have original artwork.
And by the way, folks, this is the A3 original art page. And as he's explained, this is a double-sized magazine spread size.
It's an actual proper size piece of comic book artwork. Yeah.
So those are very big if you've ever seen original artwork pages. And then finally, there's the collector's bundle. This is zero. There's one. There's only one of these. You'd be the only one who has it.
I figured I was being a little bit cheeky putting it in anyway, but you got to do it.
I saw somebody put in like a $3,000 tier just earlier this week and says, if you do this, you've funded the entire next book and you get all the credit for having done so.
Wow! Yeah, great.
Like, I have no doubt that nobody's going to take it. But you don't get what you don't ask for. So
no, exactly. You got to give it a go. But what I wanted to do was at least give if somebody did go for it, they felt like they got a lot for their money. So you get 2 books, one to keep, one to read. You get all the prints. You get an A4 pencil sketch, pen and ink sketch. You get the 11th piece of page art, and you also get a 50 by 50 centimeter canvas print of the cover art. So
very nice. And that cover is, let's go back up. That is this. So that would look very nice hanging on your wall with a little tiny black light shining right off.
Yeah. It's a wraparound cover, so it goes halfway around the back of the cover, and then there's a slip on the back for you to, read about the book and little bits and pieces. Hopefully I'll get a quote from someone on it. So it's a nice big square print to put on the wall. There's a little bit extra to the left of what you see on the cover at the top there.
Very excellent. I'm looking at this page. This is like something out of Infinity Gauntlet right now. This is
Infinity Gauntlet was a big thing for me. I've got all the books, the original ones when they were printed. It's fabulous stuff.
You got Death sitting on his chair here that he got from Kirby, not IKEA but Kirby.
Kirby chairs.
You can't be in space without sitting in a Kirby chair and have Kirby carpeting to stand.
Definitely.
If I ever get a job at NASA and I'm designing interiors, it's all Kirby. You've got the Kirby crackle going on here in this energy sphere. It's like a boom tube. So is this a one and done with Only Death Can Save Us, or is this like, turn to page 80 and it's like, oh no, it can't be, not you. Come back.
No. Yeah, it's episodic. So it kind of has its prologue and epilogue, and it can lead on to the next book. But it's kind of written in a way where you could kind of go, oh wow, it's got an open end, but it's it was fun while it lasted, kind of thing.
Yeah, you can get by with reading the one.
You could if you wanted to, but obviously I'd want to encourage people to stay with the character and move on into the next book. There is an arc of 4 books. That's what I've laid down as far as my future is concerned. But it really depends on how well the second book goes, I suppose. Because the first book is this is this proof of concept. So you go out there, you find people, you garner an audience, you understand, how the thing works, how marketing works, and then when you come with your second book, hopefully you keep a fair portion of your audience, but also you come back to the table, hopefully getting more audience, and that new audience understanding you've already delivered once, and it just hopefully I can snowball it. So if I can get those 4 books out, that would be great. The idea, the dream is that I make these books and people want them, and I get a good audience, and that maybe I could do a black and white version of an amalgam of all of the stories together and do a hardback at some point.
Yeah, get that omnibus version out there. That would be the dream.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing 4 books. There are 4 horsemen. Would I be out of line if I guessed that each one is going to be dedicated to one of them?
It kind of happens a little like that. It's not so much dedicated as finding them along the way. Yeah.
So they've been scattered since the Third Age was ushered.
They are scattered, yes. Yeah.
And the story will tell us why and how they became scattered, and and why they're being reunited. Because I'll tell you, sitting on the back pew of a church until I was 18 years old, this isn't something you really want to happen.
No, you don't, because the last time they were together, they ushered in the new age. So that they're considered by the Godhead, as it were, in this story is the Supreme, and she used them as kind of like her warlords to help create the universe in its current guise, because there's lots of different eras to the universe, and the big bad guy Satana, who you realize who that is of a portion of the way through the book, and that's the guy you have the big fight with. He is sort of on a level with the Supreme, as he's kind of one of the first ones as they're known. And so as the book, I don't want to give too much away, but as the book ends, there's a change in the environment that you're within in the book to move on to the next book and move the story further on. But it's as deep as you want it to be. Like I said earlier, it's as deep as you want to take it, or it's just a fun action adventure just for this one book. It depends how deep you want to go into the story, how much you want to take out of it, and if it entertains you, hopefully it will.
So who's this character we're looking at here in the penciled page? Because that's the Key. She's known as the Key. The Key, the old JLA villain. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, it's a colloquial name. It's not her name. She's just known as it. So it's not like an official name. I can't really say much more because it's going to give away the story if I do. So
can't give away the story. You shouldn't even put her on the page there. You gave her
she's a poster. She's actually a pin-up in one of the stretch goals. So I wanted to show a little bit of it there. So
I see her there. This would be the one by Renzo.
That's right. The one by he's done a beautiful job on it. Lovely work. I'm just waiting for the one from Rob because he was delayed a little. But I'm really excited to see that. He said he's going to get that to me next week.
Well, he says he thinks he can do a bang-up job on this one. We're going to.
I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. The guy's an incredible artist.
Yeah, these are just gorgeous here. These are these A4 prints.
Mike Emmerich did a great job there. It looks a bit sort of 2000 AD-ish. Really nice. And Emmerich brought some anime feel to it. So there's just such a lovely spread of, and of course when Rob's kind of style is going to be different again. So you can have a really nice set of four prints there.
So we got some more. This is your canvas print, and as you said, this demarcation line here is sort of where the spine would be, and the stuff to the left be the wraparound on the back. So now you got a square bound canvas, and I'm guessing just by looking at it here, it's not a flat piece of canvas, but it's actually one of them boarded pieces of canvas, so it's got like the inch thick.
That's right. Yeah,
stretched canvas.
Stretched over the frame. Yeah.
So that is very cool. Was that only available in the super duper?
Yeah, the super duper one. Yep.
For $450, folks, you'd be the only person with this stretched canvas hanging on your wall. That might be an enticement. I mean, it's the only way you can get that thing, and it's a gorgeous piece of artwork.
It's just the one. It won't be anywhere else. So, and it will be signed doubly. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what that then forces you to do, if you get this, is you have to get it on all three of the other tiers, so that you can make your square 2x2.
Yeah. That'd look lovely on a big wall. Yeah.
It would be beautiful. Put that in an office somewhere. And this is the A3 4 poster.
That's my poster. Yeah, the A3 poster.
And stretch goals. I hadn't even considered the stretch goals yet. So what are we looking at here? At 5,000 pounds, that's funded. That's the postcards. First character in an exclusive 4 postcard set. Not trading cards, postcards.
Yeah, postcards. They're A5. So they're half the size of the A4 prints. So they're sort of a little bit smaller than a standard comic book size.
I'm figuring out this logarithmic scale.
It's the golden ratio.
Oh, well, that's perfect then, because I do understand that. I'm guessing we haven't funded 5750 yet.
Yeah, we have. We funded the first 2. We're very close to funding the third one. I'm just going to look here because I'll have the UK figures on here. I think we're very, very close to funding the third one. Oh no, it's funded.
Funded. That was yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Funded.
So you're not just funded the book. You absolutely hit a stretch goal. So
yeah, stretch goal. Yeah. Thank you.
There's famine. So we need another. We need to work on that 4th stretch goal so we can get 4, because you got to have all 4 cards. It's 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
You can't just get 3 horsemen cards.
Yeah. And then further on, we've got an embroidered patch.
By 6 a.m. Comics.
Yeah.
Growing.
Yeah. A lovely little piece of artwork. That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'd love to get that done, obviously. And that's then the poster at the bottom.
An A4 art print of D and the Key. Character we can't talk about. This is not the same picture we saw. This is more like the one that came from the book.
That's the one that we saw earlier on. But I was talking about the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Got it. $15,000. You'll put some spot UV on that cover. Just like the little shiny, slick spots. It'll be on there. And then at 20,000 pounds.
Yeah.
5-page backup story. Are you writing on that already?
It's already written. That's one by Rick, the guy that did the dialogue for me. He's already written me a backup story, and it's set way back in time. So it's not current in this book. It's like it's not an origin story, but it's a story from the previous time.
So I was going to ask you what the inspiration was with this. Where'd you come up with the idea? But that's the boring question that we all get asked. What was the author thinking when he wrote this? I'm like, he was thinking, God, I hope this sells. I'm hungry.
Yeah. I want to draw comics. That's what I thought.
But folks, definitely scroll down here and read into this. We're looking, talking about some Bronze Age comics inspiration, which is look at this. Look, somebody's reading ahead. Looks like some Bronze Age comics fan bought some original art and unlocked the stretch goals. What a hero. Woo. Yes, that is absolutely who Bap is. Bap wears a cape when he comes.
Joe.
And here, I was getting ready to say, some of your characters here look like the Super Scroll, and then I read, oh, below are some examples from his Marvel art. Yeah, so that is the Super Scroll.
Yeah, that's the stuff I did for the Draw the Marvel Way book. So they were tutorial work and tips work. So
very nice. You can get into the world here. Again, beautiful shot of this. You've got that whole vanishing perspective thing going. You feel like you're in this big rounded chamber. So it's an interesting. Is that Death's face, or is he wearing a helmet or a mask?
Yeah, but more and more people are asking that. It isn't a helmet, but it's not a skull either. It's completely coincidental. It's part of the idea of this is, for instance, with the Four Horsemen and Satana, the Supreme, the way things work, it's kind of like mixed up mythologies, where these mythologies have come down through time, through our history, but also through our alien history as well. And they've got misconstrued, and people may have got a glimpse, perchance, of death before they came back by accident, and that's how it's been seen throughout the misconstrued mythologies of our own. So I wanted a pantheon of gods kind of feel, and I wanted death and the other three horsemen to not be what you think they are, effectively. So you've got a book where death is the superhero. So,
something that's carried through our genetic memory, but muddled as it goes.
It's all muddled. Yeah, exactly. It's all muddled. So death is totally the good guy.
All right. I like that idea. You know what I didn't see? There's no stickers. There were no Four Horsemen stickers.
I did a sticker as an early bird. So the people that signed up, I did a death sticker for them. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I don't know what it is about stickers. Trading cards I'm not into so much, but as long as I've got empty space on the back of my laptop case, if there's a sticker into something, I'm like, yeah, give me the tier with the sticker. That's going back of my laptop.
No, I didn't want to do a trading card because so many people have done them.
I understand.
And I just wanted to do something different, and that's why I went for the postcards, because I thought it's something that if you wanted to, you could frame them. You could put them in a mount and have all four in one frame.
Absolutely. I think they even sell frames that fit the postcard size. Yeah. Trading cards, you just put it into a sliding little plastic holder or your page, and you put it on your shelf. You don't even look at it anymore.
No.
But yeah, you could put that up on your wall. It wouldn't take up much space at all. So I lost my train of thought. It does that to me all the time. So you got a YouTube channel too, where people can come and watch you.
Yeah, Comic Book Black Belt. Yeah, on that channel, there's a complete set of videos about the book, about how I came up with the idea, how I came up with the concepts, doing pages, thumbnails, but also some screen caps of inks that I've been doing, in the last few weeks, obviously, while I've been producing the book. So you can see that kind of stuff. But I've also got breakdowns from Doctor Who, Marvel, and Ben 10, and I do some reviews, a few bits and pieces, tutorials, that kind of stuff. More, not so much tutorials. I don't like to think of myself as teaching other people. More of this is the way I do it. Perhaps it's helpful in some way. Sure. So I just kind of open myself up to say this is the way I do things, and it might be of use to someone doing it their way. And also I do a show on a Sunday night where we have guests on as well. Is It Just Us? And that's with me and a guy called Lucifer Storm. He's a writer, and we just have fun with that. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff on the channel.
Was there a inspiration behind the channel name, Comic Book Black Belt? I mean, are you a martial arts instructor, or? Yeah,
I'm a third dan black belt in Wateroo karate, and currently I'm training in Korean karate. And the idea was that so you have this 10,000 hours to get really good at something. Yeah.
Right.
And the way that karate works, the way that martial arts tend to work, is that you go up the grades. So you up until black belt in karate, we had 9 Q grades, and the idea being that you learn the basics by repetition. You keep doing the same things, and the martial art it effectively shapes you, because you have to do things that the martial art asks you to do in order to make the martial art work. Otherwise, you're just throwing your arms and legs about randomly. So once you get to black belt, that's when you start really learning about the martial art, and you start adapting it to your own body type, to your own strengths, and then moving forward, it's almost like you're creating your own style. And I saw that with what I was doing with my comic books. What I was doing with my comic book art is that you have to do your 10,000 hours. You have to get the basics right. You have to go and get anatomy right. You have to go and get scene creation right, storytelling, all these kind of things that go into drawing sequential art. And then once you get to a certain point, you've got, it's not to say I've got everything perfect, but I've kind of got the basics in my head, and I can go and do stuff without having to go and get specific reference. Although reference is very important, I can lay stuff down. I've found the shortcuts. But after that, then you have to find your own style. And you can only really find that style by being confident about what you're doing. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's the same with writing, that 10,000 hours. It's, how do you write? I'm like, well, I'm stealing it from Stephen King's memoir crap, but it's like, butt in chair, hands on keyboard, 1,000 words a day, no matter what they are. Every day, day after day. This is probably pretty obvious, but I would guess that your martial arts training bleeds over into your comic book work, because when you're drawing a fight scene, you actually know how the body is going to be posed for a certain type of attack and how the action is going to flow, rather than just, random street fight. How do you from here to there that you see people do?
There is a certain amount of that, but something I have to pull myself back on is realism. So sometimes as an artist, you kind of stretching for the perfect. You're stretching for the ultra real, and you've got to pull yourself back on that in comic books, because it's the accidents, it's the happy accidents that make your style, and a lot of the time it's energy and drama that create the best panels. Yes. And so, yes, there is a certain amount of that in there. And certainly I understand how the body works. So anatomy and that kind of stuff is obviously very important. But it's more about energy. So, but yes, I mean, even from that perspective, if you're not looking specifically for an anatomically correct model, you're still looking for weight. You're still looking for the energy of a strike or a movement. And understanding how your body works does help. And
it's an indefinable quantity to me as the reader. I know when it exists in the panel. I would not be able to tell somebody how to put it there. For instance, this is going back a little bit here, but Heroes in Crisis. Clayman's artwork is superb in its draftsmanship. Those figures are perfect. But to me, and this just my opinion, they lack any of that dynamic energy. They could be perfectly photographed shots of mannequins. They just don't seem to have that life to it. And other than saying that I don't see it there, I'd be hard pressed to tell somebody how to put it there.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm not keen on using 3D models. I'd never tell anyone not to do things. You make your own comics the way you want to make them. That's totally up to you. But personally, I want to see an energy in a style or in a display of sequential art that if you're tracing or if you're relying too heavily on a reference, that you just don't get. And that's why you do your 10,000 hours. It's not that you don't use reference. It's that you've used it so many times that you can remember. You have a library logged up there, which means you can start using shortcuts. And if you look at the Bronze Age artists, the shortcuts they put in, but I was confused by Buscema. Okay. John Buscema is a fabulous artist, and in some ways he retarded my ability to like Kirby, because it was almost like I was spoilt by the solidity and the believability of Buscema's figures and his environments. And it took me a while. It took me to be not so naive. It took me to be more mature about art in general, to realize, that Buscema was still cheating, was still extending, was still creating that energy and doing things that weren't absolutely perfect, and that Kirby was doing it in just the same, but doing it in a different way. And it's starting to and appreciate and understand other styles, that you can start giving yourself the confidence to investigate your own style.
Yeah, and once you do get good at it, you can put those shortcuts in. It would be that over reliance on. I'm losing the word I'm looking for, but that over reliance you talked about on the basics.
Yeah,
like going into a sparring match and spending a half hour doing your katas before you getting back in there. Your first year kata to go in for a black belt match. It's just not something that you would have done. You can sit down and you don't have to look at a reference now.
No, exactly. You start understanding. So, for instance, in the karate metaphor, you do some things you do so many times in repetition that you don't have to think about doing them anymore.
It's reflexive.
It's reflexive. I mean, it's not what your body is used to doing. So, for instance, twisting your hip into a punch might sound like it's the most obvious thing to do, but get anybody who's not done any martial arts training, put them in and say, right, we're going to do a reverse punch now, and you're going to use your hip. And it's amazing how many people can't twist their hips.
Yeah.
But after you've done it 10,000 times or whatever it is you do every time you march up and down the dojo, you use your hip when you do a reverse punch. And it doesn't have to be that sort of I'm in stance properly and I'm using, my hip. You'd use it out the street simply because it's been programmed into your body movements. And it is the same for anything that you want to do really well. You have to put the time in, and you do the same thing with sequential art, whether it's writing or whether it's sequential art. You find those shortcuts, you find those things that work. Something I don't do is play musical instruments. I have a friend who plays electric guitar, and he's been playing it for years and years and years. And he'll just wander up and down the frets, and I'll look at his hand movements, and they don't look like anything that I see in the magazines where they teach me how to play guitar, because he knows all the shortcuts and how to use the guitar correctly. And so it doesn't matter what you're doing; it's that understanding and the repetition and having that library of things in your head to call on without thinking about it.
Yeah, and then coming up with your own style, which is what art is. Everything up until you got your own style, you're not really producing art, I would guess. You're producing a craft.
Yeah.
But then when it's yours, that's when it's art. Epiphany moment there.
Yeah, it is an epiphany moment. Yeah.
It's 1 a.m. where you're at, so you need to go get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day. Glad we were able to help out a little bit here. 131% funded. Only death can save us. If you're watching the replay, folks, the link for this Indiegogo is right down in the description below. It's the very first link. Get out there, back this at any level you want. Just pick a level. This is some really good stuff. If you like Bronze Age comic book artwork, this is the thing to go for. Russ, so glad you came on with us tonight to talk.
Thank you.
Wish we could get an earlier time slot for you, so it'd be something more civilized.
Yeah, well, it's got to be done.
Whenever who's the next in the next book? Who are you going to spotlight first?
I think War's coming back. War's coming back. All
right. That sounds ominous. First death, then war. Well, none of them are anybody you want to run into.
No.
So, all right. So, thank you for coming. Everybody, go back it, and we'll be out for tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for the chat. Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks for
Hi.
stopping by for another Critical Blast video. The internet is a big place, and we know there are lots of other places you could be other than here, and we appreciate you being here immensely. If you enjoyed this kind of content, we hope you'll return for more. If you click the subscribe button, you'll get a little notification that when we produce new video content. If you would like to help the channel out, there are many ways to do so. Just visiting our main hub, criticalblast.com, will do wonders. But if you're more of a show me the merchandise type of person, there are links in the description of this video to our t-shirt shop, as well as links to Amazon for the books we publish under the Critical Blast Publishing imprint, including the urban fantasy anthology Gods and Services and the YA superhero novel Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thanks again for visiting this video. We hope you had a blast.